Coming to you live behind the steering wheel of a truck. I just got on the phone with a friend of mine, and he's got a hotshot company like we do. And, you know, he's asking me, he says, oh man, what do you think about what we're going through in the trucking business and trucking in general and stuff? And you know what? He's right. Right now is a tough time to be in the trucking business. And, you know, they show a lot of semi-trucks and the problems with semi-trucks and people with semi-trucks having accidents and semi-trucks this and that. And it does seem like they're focusing more on the semi-truck business as far as illegals behind the wheel. And some people don't understand the relevance behind that. There's a couple of things you have to get in your head about this. One, if a lot of illegals are driving trucks, that means a lot of Americans, people that are American citizens, are not driving the trucks, right? Because the illegal folks, they'll tend to work cheaper and drive outside of the rule books and things like this. And the reason they do that is because they have to. They can't. They have to live in the shadows, let's call it. And I hate to use that term, but that's what they have to do, is to live in the shadows. So there are plenty of trucking companies out there that exploit them. But it's not just semi-trucks, I'm telling you. It is the hotshot business too, because there's plenty of businesses like mine where in a hotshot business where we have, you know, there's not just me, we have other drivers and other trailers. So there's plenty of hotshot businesses that are basically operated just like you would a normal trucking company. And that being said, they have the same thing. I mean, if you've been in the hotshot business long enough, you realize there's some people driving a hotshot truck out there that shouldn't be anywhere near the steering wheel. But the difference is, what happens in the hotshot industry, it's not the same in the trucking industry. At least in the trucking industry, they're required to have a CDL. And there's some way to go and track their progress or how they got here and stuff with a CDL. With a hotshot truck driver, you can run non-CDL. And that's a big difference. You know, as far as you not having a CDL, there's a lot, you don't run through any of the hoops. You don't have to have go to the truck driving schools. You don't have to have the IFTA taxes. You don't do a lot of things, and therefore you can fly under the radar a lot. And I think that happens a lot more. So I think there's a lot of illegals that are in the hotshotting business, and ratio-wise, it might even be more, probably is more than the semi-trucking business. Now, everybody might say, well, that's a terrible thing to say, calling people illegals. Listen, if you broke the law, you're an illegal. If you're illegal if you've robbed somebody. You're illegal if you've, killed somebody. You're illegal if you cross the border without authorization. That's all illegal. That's why they call them illegals. And then somebody would say, well, what's the difference? If they're driving a truck, they're just driving a truck. That's not exactly true. What you don't know is that insurance companies require you to have a licensed driver before you put them behind the wheel of your commercially insured vehicle. But some insurance companies out there have actually latched onto this idea of not covering accidents that were either caused by a driver that was illegally in the country. Listen, if you haven't learned anything about insurance companies, they love to not pay. Any way they can find not to pay, they will. So if an insurance company finds out you have your driver runs into somebody or damages property, and your insurance company says, okay, well, the driver was licensed, there you go, and you have insurance, there you go, and he was operating within the means he was supposed to, he wasn't speeding or doing the things. Your insurance company can choose to ask if that person is legally in the country and could legally be in a job, because remember, it's a commercial insurance, and as such, the person's working for you, and it's illegal to hire illegal immigrants. So therefore, you have an illegal employee, even if he's subcontracted, you have an illegal employee operating your truck, and therefore they cannot pay it. And if you ever have an accident, or one of your drivers ever has an accident, and they file a claim, and you file a claim with the insurance because your guy was at fault, oh goodness. As a matter of fact, there's rumors out there that there's actually litigation that where your driver wasn't at fault, the other person was at fault, and they ended up the other side ended up not covering it because their contention was if the person wasn't illegally here, the accident wouldn't have happened in the first place. That's how crazy this is going to get. You'll see. Because insurance companies hate to pay. And if that's the way they cannot pay, and all they got to do is have this a couple of times, next thing you know, you've developed something called case law. You get case law on your side, insurance companies, they're going to start, pulling back. So if you own a hotshot trucking company, or even a trucking company, you better make darn sure that the people that are driving your trucks are legally in this country. Or they can have a visa, if they have the green card or whatever they call it. If they have that, of course. But if they're illegally here and you hire them to drive your truck, and they even have a non-CDL and they're driving non-CDL, you could lose everything. They could come after you personally, which means your house, your cars, your lifestyle could be ruined because of that. So keep that in mind. That's a very good thing to think about. So thanks for watching.